Hello everyone. Welcome to the new chapter. Here I would like to share the formula which I found from my past 11 years of drawing experience. This formula will help you to draw anything that you see by your eyes. Before going to apply this formula, first you should know clear about 6 important steps. These are 1 space, 2 proportion, 3 implied lines, 4 contour lines, 5 tone value, 6 texture or details. Let's start from space. What is space and why it's important in our artwork? It seems like invisible thing, but it has a major role in your artwork quality. Space has 2 different types, one is positive space and other one is negative space. Positive space means the space which is occupied by your main subject matter. Whatever the remaining space except the subject matter in the background, it's called negative space. Keep it in mind that positive space always should be equal or better than negative space. If it is in less than negative space, then your artwork look like incompleted one. Next, proportion. This is the second major role in your artwork. If you want to get right proportion in your artwork, start with a bigger shape and comparing with that you should find the second biggest one, then third one, so at last you will conclude with the exact proportion of your overall artwork. Let's see an example. We want to draw a diagram. It has 3 different divisions. The size ratio is 12, 6 and 3 inches. When you start copy the proportions, size is not a matter for the first biggest part, but other 2 different parts should be depends on the first one. If you are taking 8 inches for first part, then second and third should be 4 and 2 inches. If you are taking 4 inches as a first one, then 2 and 1 should be the next 2 parts. So according to your starting point, your overall proportion will be perfect. Next, implied lines. Line has many different types. Here we are focusing on implied lines, which means maximum invisible lines. This is the starting visible point of your final artwork. These lines allow us to make corrections in itself, also it helps to discover the final outline when we complete the overall structure, so we can avoid mistakes on further steps and we could save more time on this process. Next, contour lines. This is the final outline that we decided from implied line structure. These lines will help us to identify the artwork boundaries and leads to apply the tone values. Keep it in mind, when we use the contour lines we should fill with thick and thin and also dark and light lines. This thick and thin lines should be applied based on the light falling direction. All the lighter parts should be in thin lines and also all the darker parts should be in thick lines. This technique will help the viewers get better visible. Next, tonal value. We usually called shading techniques. There are many ways to fill the tone values. Here we can see some examples. First one, hatching. In this technique, there is no overlapping lines. Only straight lines will be there. By adjusting the line's space and thickness we can create the tone values. Next, cross-hatching. In this technique we can overlap the lines. To mention the different grade values we can adjust the grid space and also we can make thick and thin lines to show the variety. Next, scumbling. It is also called as scribbling. We have to adjust the space and size of scribble lines to fill the different tone values. Next, stippling. This technique is filled by dots only. By adjusting the dot space, we need to show the grade value. At last, smudging. It also known as a smooth shading technique. We have to use fingers or paper to blend the shading parts. It is the best technique for realistic drawings. Finally, texture or details. It is the final detailed layer of your artwork. This textures will be differ based on your subject matter. It can be rough, soft, glossy, furry and more. By looking at the below reference you can understand the difference between tone values and texture. Now we can create an artwork by using these techniques. Look, this is our final piece of artwork. Let's start from space and proportion. I am just imagining the center divider lines on the final artwork. Then the same lines I am just marking on my artwork space. By using the center point, I am constructing the basic structure with implied lines. Once it's over, I start marking the outer edges by contour lines. Here, light falling direction from our right-hand side top. So right-hand side top lines will be thin and light tone. Then the opposite side will be dark and thick lines. Also I mark the ground shadow boundary lines. Next step I applied the tonal value with smudging technique. Finally I applied the texture on it. Now the final artwork is ready. If you feel this content is valuable, then please comment and share with your friends. Finally, thank you for watching this video.